not on the dock.
Okay, that's no problem. Hello all, good to see you all. Say all, we're still missing one. We still have, believe it or not, I'll do this and this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remote learners. 5. I've got Max as being absent for some reason.
I was.
You were absent, but you're not now?
Yeah.
So
I'm not for economics.
Okay, can I mark you present then, Max? Because otherwise you're going to confuse the computer. Can I mark you present?
Okay.
Are you going to be here? Yeah, you're all right? Yeah? Okay. Roll that across. All right, so I'll save that then. Hold on, let's double check. Yes. Okay, so yes, we still have 5 virtual learners who are learning with us virtually. Hello, good to see you again. We have 5 virtual learners who are learning, hopefully virtually with us. I've been in touch with a number of them. There's one that I need to be in touch with a bit more. And there were 2 newbies who may join us still. One is brand new to the school and hasn't yet arrived. So the school is doing what it does with regards to that, but they have said what subjects they want to take, and one of which is economics. Okay, so when they arrive, okay, then, and they haven't arrived at school yet, then they will come into the class. Now that, you know, they will then be a bit perhaps behind you all, but that's okay, we can catch them up. The other learner is a learner who's currently here, but is in a different subject and wishes to change. And obviously your deadline for changing is the 15th of September. So that's coming up. So there will be that change possibly that will happen. Okay. So if we then get the 5 who are away coming in, and it, you know, that may come down to 4 if they don't all, you know, arrive. Okay. And then we get the other 2 coming in, you're going to see a few more faces in the room. Okay, so just be aware that that may still happen. Technically, the class is full. Okay, so if there are other learners and other subjects who want to come in, technically the class is full. Okay, the problem that we have with that is obviously with the overseas learners who are remote learning, you know, they're going to arrive, but they aren't here yet. So if they come in and have a look and they see empty chairs, they're going to go, the class isn't full. See what I mean? So, and also brand new students, like as we discussed, they haven't even got to school yet. So, you know, and they want to come. Yeah. So you kind of got to allow that to happen. Yes. I don't know. I know, for example, Sharaf, who will be here soon. Hey, Sharaf.
Right.
All right. Who is actually here in quarantine at the moment. Yes. I think that there are another couple of learners who asked Monday. Apparently Monday. Sharaf will be here on Monday. All right. So we will be joined with the exuberance of Sharaf, which will be fantastic. We are expecting another few. I'm not sure of their location. I know that some were stuck overseas. Is there any update on where the rest of you are? Are you in Malaysia now, or are you on your way? No. Okay, no. And no. So they're not. So they might then therefore be on their way still. Okay. So with that in mind, because if they're not currently in Malaysia and then they arrive, they will still need 2 weeks of quarantine. So therefore, we will be doing the virtual learning for a period of time. All right. So apologies, all right, to all involved. This is how life is at the moment, but we can't really do much about that. Now, where last we left, we had some excellent history of economics presentations, famous economists and all. And we have still 3 presentations. 4.
103.
All right, presentations to go. All right. Because, all right. All right, Darwan, have you got a presentation as well? Darwan, yes. Okay, so we've got Darwan. Yes, you've got one. Fantastic. And I'm sorry, dude. Your name, Hayin? I don't know that I got that right. Hayin? Hayin? I can manage Hayin. Did you have a presentation too? Okay. All right. So there might be 2 or 3 other presentations. Okay. So at the very least, we've got Wen Hao. Was there anyone else who missed? I think so. So Wen Hao. Do we want to start? Yeah, we'll start with Wen Hao. You know, well, you've gotten dressed up for it this time. So we'll start with Wen Hao and then move on to Darwin and our remote learning team. The remote team. Oh, you could be the remote team. Oh, that's pretty clever. Hold on a second. That's Kendrick. There you go, Kendrick. There we go. That's a human thing to do. Wave. All right. Don't worry, Joel's just charging his computer. All right. Okay, Wen Hao, you ready? Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, so we'll do Wen Hao first, and then we'll jump in and we'll see. So for you guys, it'll be a matter of grabbing the screen and me presenting the screen. But we'll wait. We'll do Wen Hao first, and then we'll come back to you all.
Okay, this guy called David Richard, and he's a British classical economics. Okay, so what is classical economics? First, I will introduce 4 very famous classical economists. The first one, everybody should know this, is Adam Smith and his book, Wealth of Nation. Second one is called Thomas Robert Malthus. And his book is called An Essay on the Principle of Population. Everyone should know this book. In the book, he said, we must control the growth of population because overpopulation will reduce average wealth by capita. And the third one is called John Stuart Mill. And well, he's supporting Jamie Benson. If you don't know who Benson is, well, he's a creator of Unitarianism. If you don't know what is. And last one is David Richard and his book on the principle of political economics and taxation. Okay. Oh, by the way, they are all British people. I don't know why. Oh, one thing I forgot, like, imagine what is classical economics is. Basically, they analyze the free market system and said there is an invisible hand to control all the economics activity in the market. And they believe economics rules like personal profit and competition decide the price of goods and service. And also believe the price system will allocate resource in the most efficiency way. They strongly disagree that government should intervene in the economic activity and don't think mechanism is a good thing. In other words, they support free trade. In David Richard's book on the principle of political economics and taxation, he mentioned a very interesting concept called comparative advantage. But if you want to understand what that is, you must understand absolute advantage. Absolute advantage is mentioned in the wealth estimation by Adam Smith. He said every country has a different environment and resource. This will cause the cost of production to be different. People will follow their own interest and produce the goods with more profit and less cost. For example, the weather in the United States is good for cotton growth. So therefore, they will produce cotton with low cost. In New Zealand, the weather is good for cow growth. Therefore, they will produce milk and beef with a low cost. For this situation, we will say the US had absolute advantage in produce cotton, and the New Zealand had absolute advantage in produce milk and beef. Not only this, they can trade with each other without any tax, and that can benefit each other. That is how free trade works. But absolute advantage got a disadvantage. And let's say if a country can produce everything with lower cost than other country, like American, because American had a very high technology, American can produce almost every goods like a very low cost than like a backward country. So American should not trade with that country because we shouldn't. For now, like don't panic, that we try to said, because I got a comparative advantage, and comparative advantage measures the cost of production by opportunity cost. Okay, country will compare the opportunity cost and choose the lesser one. For example, the opportunity cost for China to produce 1 wheat is 2 potatoes. And for India is 0.5. And for India is 0.8. Oh, wait. Okay, this is a mathematics. After calculator, for India is 1.25 potato. Therefore, India should choose to produce wheat, not potato. There is a problem with comparative advantage. We call that equal advantage and equal disadvantage mode. The opportunity cost, okay, I'm moving. The opportunity cost for China to produce 1 wheat is 2 potato, and for India is also 2 potato. Yeah, it's 2 potato. So therefore they are same. So they shouldn't trade because there's no benefit for each other. Okay. There's a history event called the Corn Law. I will introduce what it is in short. Okay, the Corn Law is a good example for mechanism. The government set a price and said, if the price of corn is lower than this price, you can't import corn from other countries. Why do I mention this? Well, because this is a debate between Richard and Masters. Masters, from the perspective of stability and safety of the country, to explain why we should protect the farming industry. He believes that security is more important than the wealth. If the supply system of food, like corn, is coming from other country during an emergency situation, like, for example, war period, will be very dangerous for the country. So we should add some tax to the food, to the corn, and that can play the role of safety bill. But Richard disagreed with that because he said the concept of comparative advantage show off that international trade can raise the standard of living in a country. We should remove corn law, import low-cost corn, and increase the wage, increase the interest rate, growth capital then improve. However, the debate isn't finished yet. David Richards died at 1823. After his death, 23 years, the common law was removed from history.
Right. Obviously, I say obviously, one of my favorite economists, not just because he's got the same name as me, you know, David and David. Yeah, see that?
And Adam Smith.
Exactly. All right. But if you worked out the timeline which you were on the path of, and you saw that they were all classical economists, a lot of them actually were living basically at the same time period. And they were living around about the same time period in around about the same place. And they would have conversations with each other, they'd send each other letters, they might meet up and have these big philosophical debates. It was the thing to do. Yeah? Ricardo was quite a different economist in a way, because he wasn't really an economist. All right? He went on holiday, apparently to France. Apparently it was raining. And the only thing he thought to do whilst he was there was read a book. And the book that he read? The Wealth of Nations. Exactly. All right? So he read The Wealth of Nations and thought, this book's wrong. There's a problem with this. There's a problem with that. Oh, I see this problem that Adam Smith himself admits this is a problem. I need to fix this. So then he decided to write his own book. So that's what he did. I mean, it's amazing when you think that just by reading a book, he decides to write his own book, and then his book becomes the book for quite some time until Alfred Marshall comes along. Who was Alfred Marshall? All right, and then Alfred Marshall's book becomes the book. Yeah. So a competing strain of philosophy, perhaps, but also solving some of the traditional problems that were coming up in economics. So a little bit of not quite a bigger paradigm shift as occurred later with Bentham and utilitarianism and Jevons and marginal thinking. Who was Jevons? Jevons and marginal thinking, but still a big shift at that particular time. Okay, now, let's see. Dawan, are you able to present if you present your screen, and then I project up to here. Does that sound about right? Good. Okay. So I'm projecting to here. You project to there. Is that going to work? Let's see. Okay, so this should be Dawan. Am I saying it right? Dawan? Anybody know? Oops. Maybe not. She's left the meeting. Okay, something's wrong on their computer. They were struggling to hear you. Just saying. All right, good. It is Dawan. Are you back, Dawan? Join. So it's about presenting your screen. No problems. You're able to present the screen. So you're basically taking control of my screen. Good, that's it. Is it appearing there? No. What do I have to do to make it appear there? I have to go on here. All right, let's see. Okay, just 1 second. All right, now that should bring up your screen. Let's see. There it is. Why is it so small? Right. Okay. So Dawan, I will put the mic up as much as I can. over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Today I'm going to talk about Gita Gopinath. Gita Gopinath was born December 8th, 19. Huh?
We can't see your presentation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
What if you press on people? No people.
People?
Yeah. And then there are yeah.
That one? That one.
Big.
And that? Oh, here we go. Ah, there we go. Yay! Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, technological problems. Here we go. Oh, good choice.
Today I'm going to talk about Gita Gopinath. Gita Gopinath was born December 8th, 1971, India, and became an Indian-American economist who works as an economic counselor and director of the research department at the International Monetary Fund since 2019. She also worked in public service from Harvard University's economic department. Gita Gopinath has published top economic journals which focuses on international finance and microeconomics. According to IMF blog, she has authored numerous research articles on exchange rates, trade and investment, international financial crisis, monetary policy, debt, and emerging market crisis. For her achievement, she was elected as a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Science of the Econometric Society. She's also the recipient of the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman, which is the highest honor brought overseas India by the Government of India. Ms. Gopinath is also honored by the Distinguished Alumnus Award from the University of Washington. She was named among top global thinkers in Time magazine by being the woman who broke the major barriers. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, one of my favourite ones. Hold on, clap. Okay. Okay, how do I get out of that freaky mode?
Just turn off your camera for now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true. All right. Now, as you saw, she was the first woman chief economist of the IMF. They've never had one before. All right, amazing. And the accolades that she got, just incredible stuff. Yeah. She's now appointing a deputy, all right, at this point, and I think the deputy is also a woman. All right, the same. Yeah. This is really remarkable, right? Because there are statistically, if you look at the statistics, there are far fewer women economists than there are men. And when I say far fewer, I mean by a long, long stretch. Okay? So it has been something that is really good to see when women take economics and take it all the way through and become an economist and research and all of those sorts of things. It's amazing to see because we're trying to get that balance right. That would be a good thing. So she's done some fantastic work. And if you were watching online, she's actually done some live stream interviews, right, explaining what the IMF is, talking about the global economic situation that there is at the moment. And they would actually be really interesting to watch. You might find them at the moment a little bit tricky to understand because of what she'll be talking about, because you won't have learned it necessarily, but still very good to see. Now, do we have a presentation? Someone else? Sayun? Sayun? Do you have one? Yes? Are you able to take control of the screen? If you take control of the screen, that would be good. I'll get the camera back in. And if you, yeah, so you present on the screen. Honestly, you think the technology of this, you know, when I was growing up, you had to phone an operator to get an international phone call, you know? I mean, yeah, it was awful. It was really bad. Right. Every Christmas, the relatives we had to ring in Scotland. No. Hello. Right. So you've got. Are you presenting now? Wait a moment. Okay. In the meantime, you can see multiple knees.
Yeah, wow.
It's like some weird dance. Look at that. That could be your new TikToky thing. Hey, could be the trend. Yeah, I know you're looking at it, Joel. You're going, yeah, I want to be doing that. Well, no, not really. All right, okay. Sayun, apologies if I'm saying your name badly. My 7-year-old son is better than you at that, by the way. You presenting? Here we go. Now, what did I need to do?
People, top right.
People. This one? And that one. All right. And then make that go away. Can you hear us? No? Did that not work? Yes? Freaky.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Choi Sayan. I am going to introduce you Joseph E. Stiglitz, who is one of the most famous economists. To introduce briefly, Joseph Eugene Stiglitz is an American economist and currently a professor at Columbia University who won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2001. Joseph Stiglitz was born on February 9, 1943 in Gary, Indiana, the United States. After graduating from Amherst College, he earned his doctorate from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in 1967. He has been a professor at Yale University since 1970 and has taught students at Princeton, Stanford, and MIT, as well as Yale University. He served on President Bill Clinton's economic policy team, was senior vice president and chief economist in the U.S. Economic Advisory Council, World Bank, and in 2000, he was appointed as a university professor at Columbia University. Stiglitz later served as president of the International Economic Association. Stiglitz is well known for his pioneering work on asymmetric information. He explored the consequences of asymmetric information and pioneered pivotal concepts such as adverse selection and moral hazard, which have become standard tools for not only theorists but also formally analyzed at present. The concepts and work helped create a new field, information economists. He won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2001 in recognition of laying the foundation for the theory of market with asymmetric information. To help understand asymmetric information, also known as information failure, occurs when one party to an economic transaction possesses greater material knowledge than the other party. Adverse selection refers to a situation where sellers have more information than buyers have, or vice versa, about some aspect of production quality, although typically the more knowledgeable party is the seller. Adverse selection occurs when asymmetric information is exploited. In economics, moral hazard occurs when an entity has an incentive to increase its exposure to risk because it does not bear the full cost of the risk. For example, when a corporation is insured, It may take on higher risk knowing that its insurance will pay the associated costs. Through this concept, Stiglitz found that ill-informed individuals and operators could extract information indirectly through screening and self-selection, which was explained in his study of the insurance market, in which uniformed insurance companies select information on the individual risk situation of their informed customers. He has made major contributions to macroeconomics and monetary theory, to develop economics and trade theory, to public and corporate finance, to the theories of industrial organization and rural organization, and to the theories of welfare economics and of income and wealth distribution. These are the books written by Stiglitz. Thank you for listening.
Another very good one. Done. All right. Our friend Joseph Stiglitz, all right, Nobel Prize winner, another American. Yeah. Still alive. Still alive. And it was, I'm assuming still is. I haven't checked the email. All right. Another person for whom Donald Trump was not a big fan. Okay? And another person who wasn't afraid of speaking out and saying, I don't know that what you're doing is right. Okay? Also, you saw the theories suggested that he created. Those theories, yes, you are going to learn at one point soon. I say soon in a bit. Okay? So they will be part of something that you will actually encounter. Another point to note, he won the Nobel Prize in economics, and there's a lot of discussion at the moment because in the next little while, there will be an announcement of another person who will win this year's Nobel Prize in economics. You don't know who might be. Okay, who we got left now? Let's have a look. Ian, have you got a presentation? Have I checked your comment? No, I haven't. Apologies. Let me check. Private comment on classroom. 1 second. Takes me a while for that to see things.
Can I go on the screen and do the wavy thing?
And now for your entertainment, Fatima.
Look, I'm dancing! It's recording. Yeah. This one at least. Wait, which one is which? I don't know.
As you can tell, I do TikTok, so. It's Jensen's birthday tomorrow as well.
So unnecessary.
Right, okay, so we will press on because that is how you get the TV to work. All right, thank you very much all for your presentations. We will have one more presentation, but it isn't quite there yet, so that's okay. And we will do that. Now, what I need to do is to figure out how to stop the screen doing this thing.
Disconnect off it.
Ah, there we go. Disconnect off AirPlay. It's good that you guys are technologically much more aware than I, because. Right. So we are going to do something now. We're going to explore the inside of an economist's brain. We're going to see what makes us weirdos tick. We're going to explore the insanity. Right? And we're going to try our best to stay sane ourselves. All right. Now, over there. All right, we will start this. We may not get through all of it, and that's okay, because we've got another lesson coming up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to this concept here. This is a new idea that has been floating around the internet. I've seen it before. This is my first go with it this year. There is parts to it that you need a whole lot of money for. We haven't done that. Okay? We've just got the cheap budget version. But it is pretty cool. Now, what it will do is it will bring up the presentation, the one you will have, I think, right? And it will take over your computer. Okay? And then it will ask you to do things as we go through the presentation. I think it's pretty cool. The other classes have quite liked it. I also tried one where they had to draw inside it, and that was quite fun for them. Okay? Some things that work quite well, other things, there might be some lags, etc., depending on the internet connection. So even for you distance learners, watch what happens. You'll be part of this too. All right, so where is it gone? Where am I? Here. That one? Yes, this one. All right. Now, here's what it does. You ready? Okay. It is a website. It is called nearpod.com. Nearpod.com. You sign into it, and it's going to ask you for a lesson code. This, the lappy, is the lesson code. Once you tell it that, I will have control of your screens. Wow. Now, the best way, my year 11s and 10s, no, my year 11s and 13s have had a go at this, and the best way to do it is to have a couple of screens open. All right, so you'll work on this, will be on one of your screens, and then have another screen open that you can make some extra notes on. All right, potentially. Or just work through this and do some notes later. That's entirely up to you. Okay? All right. Yeah, so you go on and you enter this code here, and it should come up on your screen. Yep. Yep. Just wait. So I want everybody to get in. All right. So, are there any problems? Anybody getting in? Let me know. Yes, that's the first thing to do. All right. So the very first thing it's going to ask you to do is a matching exercise. All right. That's the first thing it's going to ask you to do. So, all right. Let's see if we've got everybody. No, we don't. We've only got 13. We've got somebody called Groper Season. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, the very first thing it's asking you to do. Okay. Right. If you go onto nearpod.com, that's it, and you enter this code. That's right. Thank you for sorting each other out. Okay. Now it's a mix and match exercise. It's to do with positive and normative statements, which we had a look at, seems like a lifetime ago now. Okay? Didn't we? I thought we had. Woo. Goodness me, thank you. Right, so all you have to do is match them. And as you match them, it should appear in here. Look, well done. Hayun? 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 Yeah, go now. Match, match, match.
I think I'm being stupid. No matter what I do is wrong. So you're meaning to me? Oh, what?
There you go.
No. Okay, but this is normative, right?
Oh.
I know how because there's only one correct. It's like one normative.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's only one correct answer.
Yeah. There's one correct answer for each answer. Right? Yes, apologies. I should have thought of that.
Positive effect.
All right. Good. We've got some that are getting 100%. Look at the 100%. I'm not sure who high is. Is that you?
14 tries.
All right. Okay. Now, it allows me to do all of those sorts of things, and yes, I am in charge of what happens, so you technically can't get out of that until I move you on, all right? And there will be other sorts of things that we do within there. So that is a mix and match, and it's designed to test you with regards to the normative and positive statements so that you're able to identify them. That's skill one, is identifying. Yep. Yes, and I didn't think about that. There were multiple ones. So let's have a look at how economists actually think. Now, the thing you need to understand is that we are talking about economics as a social science, so in theory, we economists should be thinking like scientists, with the lab coats and the eye protectors and all, yeah? We should be. So, here we go. In the beginning, economics is a science, which means positive economic statements are, for example, normative economic statements are, for example, if economics is a science, then it needs to follow traditional sciencey thinking and approaches, i.e. methodology. So, in your notes, close exercise, add in the extra information in. Yeah.
Too much money be a positive thing. Or investing too much money in positive thing.
Depends how you phrase it. Depends whether you phrase it always like could or should. Depends on whether you use actual numbers. It's about behaviors and decisions made by people. Yeah. Good. Right. In essence, what we're now doing is we're kind of rebranding ourselves as economists. We're moving a little bit away from the more formal structures that we've seen and moving more towards the more behaviorally based structures that we will be seeing. So economics is a social science, which means it is dealing with behaviors and decisions of people, humans. Yeah, exactly. Positive economic statements are facts, objective, yeah, those sorts of ideas. Factual, objective. For example, my name is Mr. David. Yes, verifiable fact. Fatima is a good TikTok-y dancer.
Well, that's subjective, right?
Not definite.
I could say that she is.
Between you two there, you got to sort that stuff out yourselves. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's about behavior and decisions of people. Yeah, when I can. No, real stuff.
Yes.
Unless I have to bring you up. I haven't bought them in a pack for a little while. No. Yeah.
It is a struggle because they have the tie and the lay one, which
Yes.
is so bad.
Well, better than the ones that I used to have in China that tasted like rocket fuel. Hmm? It's a potato.
Okay, no, not about that much.
Right. Yeah, the potato doesn't mean anything. At least I assume it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. It was just, I thought it was funny. I perhaps should be a bit more careful with that because I may be secretly sending messages. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just to you all, and I don't know. So I'm old. Normative economic statements are subjective, value-based. For example, Fatima is a good TikTok dancer. All right. Okay. Do you actually call them TikTok dancers, or do you just call them TikTokers? TikTokers. Right. And so the idea here is that if we are a science, then surely we need to behave in a sciencey way. But maybe we don't. Or maybe we do in part, but not in full. Yeah. Okay. Speed! Time is money. Oh no, it's terrible, isn't it? Tell ya. All right. Now, here's the scary thought. Positive economics that we discussed just before should be, because it is based on fact, and I know we live in a world of alternative facts, I know that, okay? But it should be also based on logic. Now, I'm going to tread on some philosophy ground here. I'm going to tread on some TOK toes.
Yay.
TOK. No. Honestly, you've surely, when you go to your TOK classes, please tell me you will ask about the ticks, because you've got to do the TikTok. No? All right, okay. Now, if it's logical, then it is systematic. It is describing things and having a system, a clearly defined pattern that you are going to use in your, well, explanation. That simple. It's logic. And I know Mr. TikTok, Mr. Tok, Mr. Jared Tok, all right? And yes, when I first got here, I did send emails to the wrong Mr. Jareds, okay? Yeah, okay. But Thor appears to be unhappy. I think he wants his eye back. Now, yes. So we're going to be discussing things about logic, and yes, Mr. Jared does talk to you about logic, and he will probably give you the Greek history of logic and all of those sorts of things. I don't know. And the philosophers and the like, yeah? That's not what we do. Right? You can delve really heavily into this idea of logic and what it means and logical arguments and how they work and the structure of them and all of that, if that is something that interests you. And it might be. Yeah? Yeah? Might be raining. You might be in France. It was easy. I'm sorry. If it is raining. Yeah? All right. Now, part of that logic, because it's economics, involves us being able to predict things that might happen. There's where we're going to run into some problems. All right? Because if you are a scientist, a physicsy person, right, you'll know that there are laws of the universe and you can predict this and that, and the outcome of throwing the ball this way will lead to this, that, and the other thing. Or if you're a chemist person, then you'll be able to predict what will happen when you mix certain things into certain combinations and they become, I don't know, Frankenstein's monster. I don't know. Yeah. But in economics, because we're dealing with behavior, in essence, what we are attempting to do is to predict how people will behave, which sounds easier than it actually is. And if you've met the people who are sitting there by you, you're probably going to say it's impossible, all right, to predict how people will behave. Or maybe it's not, I don't know, yeah? All right. Can I move on a slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, keep up. Sorry, I've had too much caffeine already. All right, here we go. So, what is this idea? Oh, it's a TOK moment. What is this thing called logic? Well, it's about reasoning. It's about making a statement, or in fact, a series of statements that are true based on the preceding statements. Now, the scary thing, I guess, for you all is because this is now an official part of the syllabus as opposed to just some introduction. Yes, in theory, you can be examined on this. All right, but I will eventually get around to showing you how that will happen if they do it. And it's not going to be as scary as it first appears, so don't have to. Okay, so the example given, when it is cloudy, it rains. It is. Yeah. It is raining currently. Or at least it was a second ago. Therefore, there has to be clouds in the sky. Just like that. Logic. Systematic, predictable. That's how it works, yeah? Is it called a syllogism? Is that what we call it? Do we know? Syllogism? Does that sound right? Because there's 3 of them. Trillogism? Ask Mr. Jarrett. There is a technical name for 3 statements with regards to this logical pattern. I can't remember what it's called, okay, but there is a technical name for it. And I have a feeling it's something along the lines of trillogism or syllogism, or I don't know.
Is it deductive?
It could be deductive reasoning.
Deductive reasonism.
It could be. Yes, you could be right on that. Well done. All right, now I would like to move on one.
Yeah.
To this. Create your own 3-statement logical reasoning statement. Fun. Doesn't have to be economics related at all. No. It's just about practicing writing 3 statements. For the last one to be true, the previous one has to be true, and for that one to be true, the one before that has to be true. Go. TikTok star, really? And somebody is YX and somebody is YX.
Yeah, I accidentally.
You did twice? Yeah, that's one of the flaws of this particular system, is it's people, if they change devices, then they end up.
Have you read a book called Introduction to Logic?
Can you show me a picture of it? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's the Mandarin version, is it?
Yes, but that's fine.
I don't know. Maybe. If I did, it was a very long time ago. Yep. Back in the good old university days. So. Possibly before you were even alive.
What? I'm dying now.
I have to be hungry to eat. Yeah.
I do?
But I eat without being hungry.
I
eat all the time. I think that's the you problem, not a logic problem.
People with dementia forget stuff. Joe Biden forgot he was running for president of the United States before Joe Biden had dementia. Alright, okay. That's a good idea. Yeah, I don't think you've quite got the idea, Joel. Yeah. Yeah, each statement has to connect to the previous 2 statements.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you're on the right track in that each statement individually has a logical consistency to it, but you're wanting that consistency to go through all 3.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's already there.
Yeah, you and me both, but then that's just normal for me. When I am thirsty, I drink Red Bull. I'm drinking Bull right now. I have to be thirsty to drink Red Bull. Right? All right. Now, this is a skill, and it is probably something that you could discuss again with Mr. Jared. Right, Mr. TikTok Jared. I'm just going to call him that now because I think that's easier. Yeah. Yeah. I had an idea. I haven't thus far voiced it out loud. Okay. Economics Instagram. Economicsgram. See what I did there? Right? Because Instagram is just the photos, right? Yeah. So you could get them to do like the photos illustrating the concepts. So they wouldn't have to even be in them, but here's a photo of scarcity. Here's a photo of opportunity cost. I think that would be kind of cool. All right, and then I could promote them that way. So I'm thinking of that at the moment. Probably more for year 10 than you all. Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the ideas that's kicking off in my head. That and the economics branded merchandise.
Yes, please.
The economic merch.
No,
Yes.
we can
Oh,
see
yeah.
Make a hoodie.
I've got ideas.
I'll
But last year, because there's this thing that you do called CAS, right? And last year I created an economics creative action team, or ECAT, which was a group of year 12s mostly, who wanted to do this for their CAS, and then they all got too busy and they didn't do anything. Well, they were going to do a music video, and I wrote the lyrics out, and I got all of that all set. I gave them the option of several different songs. I wrote the lyrics out for several different ones, and they picked the one that they liked, which was the one based on Old Town Road. And they liked that one the best, so they were going to produce it as a music video. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, I'll actually do that.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome to. I've got all of the stuff. Because at the time, the school was going to do a tailor's dinner, so I wrote a music video plan for the school that they could do based on Old Town Road. But do you know Stranger Things? Yeah, the stars of Stranger Things did. No, it wasn't Old Town Road. Apologies. The stars of Stranger Things did a benefit at the start of, I think, the Emmys, and they all got out and they sang and danced to Uptown Funk. Yes. So I wrote a video based on that, using that as a reference, and I rewrote the lyrics to about Nexus, and then I thought it would be Miss Morag and Mr. David Griffith doing this song at the tailor's dinner, right? And then, you know, the others as well, you know, as the sort of backup, but they'd lip sync it. They wouldn't actually sing. And then we get students who are singers to do the singing part, and then behind them would be a video of the school. So basically, it's a marketing of the school in a comical way. And Mr. Rob, you know Mr. Rob, primary school? Yeah, loved it, loved the idea, said it wasn't going to work, but loved the idea, said no, they wouldn't do it, right? So I gave it to him, but in any case. So I have a lot, right, of ideas, right, over the shop. I also want to do some basketball related stuff, but that's, you know, when we're actually playing basketball again, which may not be for a while yet. Okay, good. Excellent. But again, you can talk to Mr. Jared T.O.K. with regards to how that works. Now, how do we gain information about the world? Well, the terminology we use. We create hypotheses. Right? Your hypotheses are going to be if-then statements. Right? So if this was to happen, then this would happen. Right? In a hypothesis.
It says economists use this method, which this. Is hypothesis.
The hypothesis. Yeah, there's a couple of points. The first one is hypothesis. The word that we saw before, I put it in brackets, is methodology. Okay? So it's the methods that we use. So if you like, this is method number 1. We have hypothesis, right? Which isn't a hypothetical sister, right? I'm guessing that people like Fatima would have wanted such a thing, a hypothetical sister.
Honey, don't get me started.
Right? I know my son is very keen on having a hypothetical brother. Right?
Is he gonna get one?
Heck no. I mean, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
You can't even handle one.
No, no, no. One is more than enough.
My parents said that too.
Yeah, well, one
Oh
is
my God.
in our case, one is definitely enough. But the positive spin on that is when he has a good friend, he will often call them his brother,
Oh.
which is quite nice. And he calls his big cousin, who's, how old is he now? 19. He calls his big cousin his brother, which is quite cute as well.
I've seen you do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he's 19. His niece, his other cousin, my niece, his other cousin is 16, probably 16, something like that. I don't know. You guys are all 35, so who knows? Yeah, he's got his own YouTube channel. He's doing very well. He's at uni. He's doing business and marketing with a side interest in some economics things as well. Yeah, it's going to AUT. AUT. Now, so it's a hypothetical, it's an if then, which means cause and effect. Cause and effect. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking sometimes there's an A cause and other times there's a B cause. Right. Okay. What? No, thank you. I need you around more, right? So you can tell me. All right. The one of the economists that you came up with, William Stanley Jevons. Who was William Stanley Jevons? Good sir. He also, one of his theories also, which you may have come across, was the sunspot theory. No? Scientists in the room? Yeah? All of you? Everybody's a scientist, a social scientist, right? The sun is like a giant nuclear explosion, yeah? And dependent where you look on the sun, there's the heat. I'm not brilliant at this stuff, right? But the heat varies dependent where you are on the sun. And so some of it appears lighter, some of it appears darker. And so they call it sunspots, and they change through time. All right? Some periods of time there's more, some periods of time there's less. Yeah? And they impact on the electromagnetic spectrum. So they have an impact on things like GPS satellites and all of those sorts of things right now. But back in the day, when William Stanley Jevons was around, one of the things he investigated was whether people's behavior was affected by the sunspots. So was, because people thought about tides and, how they affected them. People were worried about the moon and how it affected them because, lunatics, So then he thought, well, it must be the sun as well, that the electromagnetic stuff from the sun causes people perhaps to do things, and it affects the economy, makes crops grow or not, that sort of idea. Now, the suggestion he made was a cause and effect hypothesis. It's also wrong. He also got laughed at with regards to that particular hypothesis, and it is a very famous logical error, all right? And I'm trying desperately to remember the name of it. After this, therefore, because of it. Right. So it's the cause and effect error. That you see effects, and there's a Latin phrase as well. which I'm desperately trying to remember too. You see the effect of it, and you immediately think this thing caused it, right? But that's not necessarily true. And that's what happened. He was looking at economic effects, then trying to match them up with the cycles of the sunspot, and trying to figure out whether there was some connection there. And there wasn't. Correlation, not causation, is the expression that you may have heard of. That's right. Okay? So cause and effect is really significant in economics, and as we see, even our famous economists who are lauded as like an amazing person, they can still get it wrong. Yeah? All right, so we look at the world, we identify what the variables are, and then we create a hypothesis in an attempt to explain it. That sounds very sciencey to me. Yeah? Sciencey? Yeah, all right, sciencey, tick. Let's move on. But what if something that we hadn't thought of interferes with that experiment? And I mean, this happens all the time. You can't possibly think of everything. So in your experiment, you're wanting to narrow it down to something that is controllable so that you can do it. Yeah, you don't want outside influences to come in and cause all sorts of chaos. You don't want that. So economists came up with this idea. And the idea is ceteris paribus. Now, when I was at university, which seems like a lifetime or several ago, I had a university lecturer who said, no, 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 you don't pronounce it that way. No, 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 it is Latin. You should pronounce it the way the Latin people would. All right? In which you would pronounce it ceteris paribus. I don't care how you pronounce it. I don't. I also aren't going to be worried if you don't spell it right. You are going to need to know what it means. And the simplest way I have of explaining it, other than this, is to consider what's called a ring fence. Okay? Exactly. All right? If you're wanting to protect something, if you're wanting to protect the relationship between these two variables, stopping outside influences, you might put a fence around it. Yeah? Okay, so you're without, okay, I'll dial it down to a slightly different level. Okay, if you are in a friendship with somebody, you want to protect the friendship, the relationship. You don't want outside influences to get in to destroy the friendship. Then you put a ring fence on the relationship, yeah, to protect it, the two variables within it. Yeah. All right. Not saying that the relationship can't still be affected. Absolutely. And we're going to find that even in economics, we're going to find things still have a way of getting in. Yeah. But that's the idea. You're putting a literal fence around what you're trying to predict. Yes.
Whoa.
So, can you find a method in which you use protect your theory from outside influences?
Yes.
Because like you mean fence, like not a literal fence.
No, it's not a literal fence. No.
Like so you have a hypothesis and
Yes.
you just like ignore the outside.
Yes.
Well, it's a control variable.
I'm not a scientist.
You've done investigation as a control
Yes.
variable.
But I got through all of them by
Okay.
lab.
You are
Okay.
probably the best example in economics of this, he says, keeping an eye on the time, is the idea of price and quantity. okay, which is going to be very new to some of you and very familiar to others. The idea, if we're trying to figure out a cause and effect relationship between the price of something and the quantity demanded of it, then we want to protect those two variables and not allow outside influences to hit them. All right, we don't want all of the other things that happen in the world to get into that relationship to prevent us from being able to tell whether this was caused by that. Now, in reality, that's really hard to do. But remember, we're talking about theories, we're talking about textbook examples, we're talking about situations that in the real life where you will live, right? Yeah, there are going to be exceptions. There will. All right? But this is step one. Create a theory, create a hypothesis. Use ceteris paribus to keep out anything that might interfere. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we will stop there for the day. Now, the next time I see you is on the day of fries, which is the Friday. Please, there is pink stuff for the desks, there is blue stuff for your hands. It seems to have stopped raining at the moment, so Thor seems to have been placated for the meantime. I think that they might be in the site, but I can also put them in the classroom.
David. So ceteris paribus is like, for an example of it, like you in physics you drop something, you ignore like the outside problems or like air resistance to just focus on what would happen theoretically.
Exactly.
So it's not like a method, you just straight up ignore it.
Yeah, well, it's considered a method.
Alright.
Because we actively do it. Because there's so many outside variables that in order for what we want to see happen,
You have to ignore everything. Ah, I get it. So I can call it a method.
yes.
Alright. Thank you, Mr. David.
Thank you all. Hey, Kornera, we'll see you again on Friday.
Hello.
All right.